Welcome to AJATELLA, the show that transitions you from think to change. And today is our very first episode, and we are very excited. And we have Jacqueline A.KITTONY around with us. Some people say we look alike, you be the judge of that. And we're speaking about owning your madness. And to be very honest, it's her copyright, not mine. And we'll be speaking about taking personal responsibility in our lives. So Jackie, I call her Jackie. What did you mean when you mentioned own your madness?
So first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I think it's an honor that I'm the first guest to come in. And to be honest, when I said own your own madness, I heard something similar to that someone else was talking about. And I just felt, to be honest, it makes sense. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to be able to understand who you are, know your capabilities, and stand for what you believe in. So if I'm crazy, take it or leave it. That is who I am. But craziness depends on what level. So owning your own madness for me means that you are honest enough with yourself to say that these are my capabilities, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. And indeed, I can be able to deal with it from a personal standpoint.
Wow. There's something that you mentioned, because when I heard the statement, I had to have a meeting with myself, and unpack that. And one of the things that really came out strongly was the aspect of personal responsibility. And maybe the first thing that we could talk about is the place of power in personal responsibility. Owning your madness means taking personal responsibility for the actions. It means a lot of things, but we can focus on that first. So what is the place of power in personal responsibility? Because many people live life pointing fingers and say it's because of someone that I don't have a job, it's because of someone that I live the way I live. So what happens when you take personal responsibility?
So let me just break it down into two pieces. So there's a place of power that you've mentioned, and there's responsibility. So let's start with the place of power. Power is in the mind. And I think, as we say, battlefield of the mind, there are many books that are dealing with mindset and change of focus, but everything is in the mind. So when it comes to power, power sits in the mind.
Wow.
So even before we begin to become responsible, it starts with a mindset. Am I clear on what I want to achieve? So if it's a mindset that I have changed, then I am able to acquire the results or the benefits of it. So then responsibility comes in.
Wow. And there's something about the mind that is so powerful that when you decide to be able to make a decision and say, for now, I might be at this current situation. For example, everybody knows what happened over the last year or so. And there's so many things that happened to us that took power away from us. Maybe someone is watching us at home, they lost their job, they lost a loved one, they lost their source of income, and power was taken away from them. But we're coming here to say you need to own your madness, meaning take power back from that thing that took power away from you and take it back to yourself and then forge a way forward. And that includes mindset. What is the biggest challenge when it comes to mindset and power? What makes people so powerless when it comes to making decisions?
It's an age-old question that sometimes takes a lot more to answer than, it's either I want to do this or I don't want to do this. I think the biggest challenge for any person who wants to make the first step is the fear of the unknown.
Wow.
So when it comes to fear of the unknown, because I'm not certain of the next step, then now I will be, held back from taking the next step. So fear of the unknown is very, very powerful, and that has to be broken, right?
Wow.
Because when it comes to fear of the unknown, there is the second element of where do I want to go? So that becomes my known. So rather than dealing with an element of being vague or just being random, you need to know where your destination is, and that breaks fear of the unknown. So once you know that this is where I want to deal with, then now comes back, how do I begin that journey? What do I start with and how do I change? And then get a way of formalizing it and beginning it. And something about formalizing is, not having a meeting and calling your friends and saying, this is what I want to do. It starts also in the mind, as I said. It's about actualizing it in my head. Having a meeting with myself and saying, you know what, Jackie, I want to be able to do X, Y, Z. So how do I do it? I've had a meeting with myself. And for me, I'll be honest enough and say, if this is something I really desire to achieve, then now I start this first step. But I've had a meeting with myself and I've formalized it and I've created a path, meaning that it's no longer unknown because I know where I want to go. So the first thing is breaking the myth of fear of the unknown. And that's now where you begin your journey.
You know, you've said so many good things, but one of the things that I can just pick up and we can run with it is making the fear of the unknown transition to the known, where the goal is the known. But there's also something that we want to think about is that developing your ground zero, because sometimes life really batters us and so many things happen that are unknown. But then you get to own your madness and you take personal responsibility. So when someone is watching us at home and they wonder, how can I make sense of everything that's happening? So many things have happened and are still unknown. You know, I want to forge forward, but I don't know how this will go. So this fear, how do you literally fight the fear as an individual? Because you've made it clear that you have to have a meeting with yourself. So what stops people from meeting with themselves? You know, in Kiswahili we say, you know, kuwa na mkutano peke yako or kujiita mkutano. What stops people from doing that?
I think that element of not really wanting to chase after that goal.
Wow.
Yeah. So we want to do something, but then we don't want to do it. So let me take an example of a good diet, for instance. Everyone at the beginning of the year says that I am going to eat well. This year I will exercise more. I will do, you know, X, Y, Z. So we all know what we want to do, right? If it's in business, last year was tough and for a lot of us, things changed. But what is it that we want to do? So you agree, okay, since I went down, these are the steps I need to do to move forward. So you start you start creating a plan. So when it comes to understanding, you know, ground zero, how do you build yourself up from there? This is now setting the game plan, saying this is step one. You break it down into bits. You know, they say if you want to eat an elephant, you eat it in bits and pieces.
True.
So this is the first step that I'm going to do. From there, what is the next thing I will have to do? So rather than just speaking and making it an ambition, now it is actually taking the next step and actualizing it.
You know, one of the things I'm taking is that owning your badness takes hard work. That it won't come easy, but it's possible. Because when you say, let's eat the elephant in bits, it means I need to take this bit and actually do the work. Because one of the things that stops people from owning their madness and taking personal responsibility is the culture of blame. Because it's easier to blame someone. You know, if I don't progress, I'd rather blame you than take personal responsibility. So what I'm taking from that is when you own your madness, you make a personal decision to take responsibility of your own actions and your own environment and own your space. And probably even as we begin to conclude and wind up, one of the things that bears heavy on us is recovery from loss. You know, let's say, you know, we've had a really tough, say, year and a half. What will make someone who's watching us at home own their madness and take personal responsibility even after loss? You know, how can they pick themselves up and say, this is my current situation. Let's say I don't have a job now. I would want to, but I don't have it. Maybe my business went down. Maybe I'm living in a house that I probably haven't lived in before because I had to downscale. So how does that person own their madness?
So for that person, the advice I would say is create your game plan, right? And once you have created your game plan, now take the first step. It's always hard. Taking the first step is actually the hardest thing someone can be able to do. So if it is, you know, you've lost a job, now what do you want to do next? The next step would be start looking at where would you like to work? Start applying, start knocking on the doors. And it's not just about delivering a CV. It's about going there and literally being in someone's face, you know, and say, hi, remember me? I came, da, 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 you know, but being persistent. There's that saying, persistence wears out resistance. Same case even when it comes to business, you know, re-strategize. See, so this didn't work for me this time round. What do I need to do? Which products can I sell? Which channels should I go in? Is there a new area that I can be able to open up in? Could I go online? Could I be able to try a different, you know, business altogether? But I would always say, create a game plan, and take the first step. And once you take the first step, when you have faith and you have, a surrounding or a group of people who can support you, then for sure you'll be able to move to the next step. So first step, game plan. Take the first step and have a support system that will be able to take you to the next level.
Thank you. Thank you so much. She is my sister, but she has so much wisdom, and we could go on and on. And even as we conclude, and the parting shot on my end would be, owning your madness takes personal responsibility. So don't shy away from taking responsibility and saying that I'm not where I should be, but from today onwards, I take back the power that has been taken from me, and I can now move forward. What's your parting shot?
So for me, I think my parting shot is have a game plan. Have a game plan and take the first step. Once you have done that, things will fall into place because you already have the ambition and the goals to get to where you need to do. You've demystified the unknown. So make the unknown known and start your journey. So that is my parting shot for now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we keep this conversation alive. Some of the things we have talked about are in the book, Secrets of the Race. I think she has her copy as well.
Yay.
So get the book. The contacts are on the screen. It will be on Amazon as well. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you.